Meeting control. I lost my screen. Sorry, everyone. Give me 1 second.
That's okay.
Where is it? Okay, sorry about that. David, whenever you're ready, you're all set.
Excellent. Can you check to see if Tom Williams and Lee Gasly?
Yes, they're both on.
They're both on. Very good.
Yep.
Well, thanks again for this opportunity to present our second meeting to you for preliminary review of the Volvo Car Stadium. My name is David Burt with LS3P. We have a number of partners on this project, as you can obviously imagine. Rossetti is leading the design for this effort, and Tom Williams with Rossetti is going to give the majority of the presentation. Lee Gasly will give some of the site-related comments. We're going to forgo some of the earlier stuff from the client and just jump straight into what's changed. I think it'll get us through a little quicker, but I will ask for the additional 10 minutes if we can ask for it now.
That's fine. Thank you.
Awesome. Tom, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Thank you, David. Good evening, everyone. My name is Tom Williams with Rossetti. We are, as David mentioned, we're leading the architecture. I think to be kind of on point, if you could advance to slide 7 of our presentation. There's an axonometric of the stadium. Yeah, this one is great. So this in bulk captures the stage house on the southern end of the stadium. One notable change here has been the removal of the basement level. Previously that held the commissary and all the cooking functions for the stadium. That level has been eliminated and has been consolidated with what we're calling the mezzanine, the broadcast media and commissary level here. So noted at item number 3 and number 4. So on the southern side of the stadium, obviously it doesn't impact the height at all. Previously that was a basement level that was semi-submerged. It was kind of half in the ground, half out. And so there'll still be a retaining wall, and from an exterior standpoint, the building really remains the same. So that is one notable element of change. If you advance to slide 12 of our presentation. So here, last in our previous submission, there was some clarity that needed to happen in terms of some of the keynoting of the materials in this location. We have resolved those and updated them both with the legend and then on the imagery on the right. One item also of note to here is the primary material of what we're calling the podium of the stage house. Previously, we had proposed that it would be a fiber cement panel all the way across the lower portion, that kind of warm taupe color. We're investigating the looks of stucco in this area so that we can focus our costs in a more appropriate manner to be a little bit more effective. The thought being that back here is a little bit more back of house area, both for the stadium and for the campus, and is pretty heavily screened in terms of some existing vegetation on the marshlands to the south of the stadium. So we felt like just trying to reallocate some of that cost to some other locations was appropriate. And it would still maintain the material texture and tonal quality that we're looking for here. And we'd be able to use a stucco system that would have multiple textures and finishes. So it'd still achieve a patterning, kind of a modeling as it moves across the facade that you see in a lot of these renderings. So, I will note, if you want to advance to slide 22 in our presentation, one of the changes you can see here, the previously proposed plan on the left and the current one on the right. With the elimination of the basement, the stage house building did expand on the east side by about 2,200 square feet on between 2 levels. So the footprint has grown a little bit on the east side, but it still kind of works within the geometry, the overall geometry of the stadium, the octagon shape. So it kind of harkens back to what is occurring on the west side is now occurring on the east side in terms of a massing and a form. So that is one of the other notable changes between last submission and this current one. So from our side, that's all the notable things to change have changed architecturally. Lee, if you want to talk through the landscape.
Thank you, Tom.
David, Lee may be on that cell phone number or on that landline.
Well, I did let somebody into the meeting that was Lee. They didn't type a last name. And they're not muted. Should I try the phone number?
Yeah, try the phone because they may be logged in for the computer for the Lee, and then the phone numbers they're dial in. I'm going to text him right now.
What would the area code be? I'm sorry.
843.
586 area code?
No.
I got more than one phone number listed.
All right, hang on one second.
Actually, I do have one.
I just texted
Let me
Lee.
try that. Well,
While you're doing that, if you want to fast forward to the site slides.
Lee, can you hear us? I did allow the phone number to speak. Ask to unmute. Let me try that.
Oh yeah, I did have to double unmute. That could be it. Kristen, I'm sorry. I did hear y'all say that to make sure the phones were off, but not the kids or the dogs. So sorry about that.
I didn't know whose speaker that was, but it looks like Lee is on, but the camera is off. But maybe he's.
Disable copy.
All right. He says he can't sign in as Lee. Okay.
I'm not sure what to tell them. There is a Lee signed in, and there.
Yep. Here you go. 843-884-1667.
Oh, I don't have that number listed.
Sometimes we've had some success, although it's not the best, to do a speakerphone. David or Tom, maybe y'all could call him in.
You know what? I can do that. I can potentially do that. Hang on.
Oh, wait, let's see. Somebody else just joined.
I think he was just joining in on his cell phone, 884-1667.
I'm still not seeing that phone number listed.
David Meeks, can you try unmuting that Seaman Whiteside one?
I did already.
You did? It's not working.
Yeah. Is there anybody from Seaman Whiteside here?
That's Lee.
He said we called in on 1-312-626-6799. Was that the right number to call in?
I believe the 312 number is listed on our instructions.
I'm going to try something. Give me 1 second. All right, I'm going to dial you in this way. Hang on 1 second, okay? All right. Yeah, I can hear you. I'm going to dial you in from here.
Any luck, David?
Right up.
Any luck, David?
All right, I just joined in from my cell phone, 843-709-6527. I'll mute on this one.
Okay, I do see yours. I just allowed you to talk.
Is Lee on the phone? Through David's line? I don't hear him.
David, we can't hear you now. I don't know. I don't think I did anything different.
That didn't work.
All right, Lee, you're gonna have to do it yourself. Just log out. Sorry about that, y'all.
No worries. It happens. It's part of the
just
Zoom
told Lee
thing.
to call in with the cell phone number. I don't know why. I was trying to do it as a merge and it didn't work, but
Or you could just put him on speakerphone, and then you both could talk out loud.
we need to teach Lee how to do Zoom.
David, do you know what he's doing now? What was the phone number again?
He is calling in using 843-884-1667.
I've not seen that yet. The number
We lose David.
No, I'm still here. He tried.
Okay.
He's trying a different number. He's trying 843-509-7774. Try see if that one's showing up.
Wait, that's the number he's calling or calling?
No,
from?
he's trying to call in from that cell phone. He thought maybe it had something to do with his phone. 843-509-7774.
Okay, it's not listed yet.
David, did you want to go further into any other discussion before we get to the landscape architect? Or was this the only other portion of your presentation?
Why don't you go
today?
back to the before and after of the render of the photographs? The renderings from the bridge, because those were some of the images that didn't show up last time that you wanted to see.
This one?
Yep, that one is before, and that being after. So that's the view from 526. And then if you were to go down to the next, that's the entrance. That's the main entrance from the north side.
Yep, northeast corner.
And if you go down to the street level, which is the next slide, or I'm sorry, this is all right, he says he's in now. He says they're in.
There's a new number that popped up and it's not one that you listed.
7774.
I'm sorry, say it again, please.
Last four digits, 7774.
I don't see that one either.
No.
Well, why don't you click
I'm
the one
going to
that
let
just
in these
popped
two
in?
phone numbers. Yeah. Let's see who this is. It's a new number that just popped up.
Okay.
3765 was the last four.
Lee, are you there? Millie?
Oh, I heard somebody. Who's that?
I think that might have been David.
Yeah, it looks like the phone is still on mute on that cell phone.
Make sure it's not on mute, Lee.
I've hit ask to unmute several times.
Hey, David, could you make me co-host? Let me see if I can tweak it while you guys are looking at something else.
Oh, yes, I was supposed to do that. Sorry.
That's okay.
Okay, Mandy.
Well, David, if you would like to go back to your aerial shots and just kind of explain the existing aerial views, and we can just go back to that until we get Lee on.
That's fine. Yep, we can do that. Tom, if you want to speak to those two, I will mute and try to get Lee into this thing while you're explaining the aerial views, okay?
Yeah, absolutely. So the view you see on the screen, this is from the north side of the stadium looking south across the Wando River. A lot of the existing stadium, kind of green steel, red brick, kind of the classic stadium kind of language as it was set up. And then if you advance one slide forward, a lot of what we're proposing, both with the addition of the stage house on the southern end and as well as with all the existing stadia, is to bring it a little bit more into a current contemporary both material palette and color tones, changing the color of the steel to a lighter, warmer color, or relatively warmer, as well as infilling. You can see that there's an infill to the bowl. I don't know if it's advanced on your side. It's still on the existing area on mine.
Yeah, David has control over the.
Oh, there we go. Great.
Thank you, David. Very cool.
Yeah, so here you're starting to see kind of update some of the color tones. One of the things that we were working with in terms of kind of capturing some of the local contextual language, knowing that this is a civic structure and kind of tying into some of the things that you start to see in the skyline. So the spires that occur above the canopy, above the stage house, take on some of that language that are reminiscent of the shipping cranes and also some of the bridge vocabulary, like I said, in the skyline. You can also see here on the left-hand side of the image, we're adding a new kind of entry canopy on that northeast side that you saw in the previous kind of composite. But a lot of the biggest noticeable change is kind of really the completion of the upper bowl and into a full horseshoe. We felt that this not only does it add seating, it also creates a higher level of intimacy for concerts, for tennis. It's one of the things from a client side and from a user side, everyone that speaks about the Volvo Car Stadium, they really speak to the intimacy of the stadium. So we felt like infilling those corners really starts to kind of magnify that impact. So.
I'll check again to see if the 884-1667 number has shown.
Oh, yes, it is here now.
Okay. You're there.
Okay, Lee, I think we should be able to hear you now.
You might need to unmute, Lee. Here, I'm just going to put this up to the headphone.
There you go. Now we can hear you.
If you could let me know which slide to advance to, Lee, please.
Oh, I think we lost him.
Did you guys hang
no,
up?
We couldn't hear him.
No, couldn't hear him.
Couldn't hear him.
You can barely hear him in the background, but not enough to make it out. Like maybe it's a bad reception as well.
Well, I was trying to get it to go through this headphone thing.
Can you?
I heard it right at first, but that was it.
You know what I'm going to do? Yeah, I'm going to put them on speaker. I'm going to try this one more time. Yeah, I'm just going to let you talk through here. Hang this one up. Okay.
There we go.
That's one way to do it.
Yeah, I guess so. Can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we can. Thank you,
Hello.
Lee.
Yes, they can hear you. You can't hear them.
Can?
Yes.
I just can't hear them.
I'll reiterate whatever anybody says. Go ahead.
All right. Okay. Well, basically, as far as the landscape is concerned, there really haven't been too many changes from the last time. The primary alterations we're making on the site have to do with the paving around the stadium and some of the planting. So basically there are three areas. If you look on page 48 of the submittal, I'll wait till 48 comes up here. Okay, right there. So in the main entrance coming in from the parking area where all the palm court is, the little small squares, that area right there is going to be pervious paving. That's going to be basically plank paving. It's a new product by Low Country. It's going to be in two colors. It's going to be in a Charleston pearl and a battery gray, and it's going to be set on a 45-degree angle, and we'll see that in just a moment in one of the illustrations. So if we flip to the southern side of the stadium, basically then the truck and loading dock area, that also is going to be pervious pavers, but that is going to be all in the Charleston pearl color. And then the remaining paving to the east and kind of the northwest, that is going to be impervious paving, but it is going to be in the Charleston pearl also. So basically what we're doing is we're accenting the main entrance into the stadium. So if you go to page 49, you'll see some illustrations there. The top right illustration, it's shown a little blurry on my screen, but basically you can see that plank paver kind of set at an angle with the two different colors to kind of create the accent as you're coming into the stadium area. And then to the left and the right, a more solid Charleston pearl color that basically will go around the rest of the stadium. But as I mentioned earlier, on the backside, it'll be pervious because we're trying to address some water quality issues, as well as lowering the time of concentration from a drainage standpoint. So those are the primary paving modifications. If you look at sheet 50, you'll see where we're creating a deck area underneath a grove of existing live oaks. And so that's shown with that yellow area, or yellow arrow, I should say, to the left of the images. So basically it's a low profile deck. We're using diamond pier system to minimize any negative impacts to the root system of the trees. It will have handicap access, so it can be accessible by disabled individuals. And again, we're probably going to use a southern yellow pine with a stain on it to give it that kind of warm color similar to the pine straw. And then page 51.
We've got about 3 minutes remaining.
What I was talking about earlier, the larger image shows kind of this plank paver scenario with a two-tone color situation. That's fairly close to what we're proposing. And then to the left, although that's more of a herringbone, well, we are looking at a herringbone, but that's closer to the color of that Charleston pearl. And then actually, if you were to flip over to page 59.
While they're doing that, Lee, they said you had about 3 minutes.
Okay, that's fine. I'm wrapping up here quickly. So on page 59, it shows those colors. The Charleston pearl is the lighter color, and then the battery gray is the darker color. From a planting standpoint, if we go to sheet 52, all right, so basically there aren't too many areas that actually are going to be planted. The main entrance coming into the stadium in that L1.2 quadrant, to the left and right of the main entrance coming in are two large planter areas. And then also basically the dividing line between L1.1 and L1.2 at the northern end of the stadium cuts through the handicap ramp area, and there will be new planting and a planter in that location. And then there'll be a little bit of screening associated with the western side of the stadium. As you come in the truck court, there's a linear planter that runs along the edge of the stadium in that location. And those really are the primary planting areas. If you look at page 61, without going into the individual detail of each planting area, basically this is the plant palette that's proposed. It's generally low country in nature, somewhat tropical, a lot of foliage interest, textural interests, multi-season as well. And so if there are any questions, I'd be glad to answer those.
Thank you, Lee. We passed your time a little bit, but if there's any other questions or things that you wanted to say about the landscaping? I guess not. We don't have any public comments today, so David, I think we're ready for this city staff comments or recommendations, sorry.
So the only staff comment I had was that all the previous board and staff comments were addressed since the last meeting, and that staff does recommend preliminary approval.
Okay. I guess we are into board discussion for the board.
This is Dinos. I was just going to applaud David Burt and his ingenious IT capabilities there. And I only wish I had a photograph of him with the iPhone, the headset, and everything else.
And that was stressful.
I think the project has progressed very nicely. I have really no comments whatsoever. Tom, thank you too.
I think this is a good looking project, guys. I think you've done a good job in its development and a really good job in the visuals. And you worked through the technical issues pretty good too. I'd like to make a motion for preliminary approval with staff comments.
Excellent.
Well, I would like to give Ms. Stevens a chance to chat if she's on board, or Andy, as this is a fairly significant landscape solution as well as it is an architectural solution.
Andy, do you have any thoughts?
Andy's muted, as far as I can see.
Something we didn't mention that I just wanted to mention is, if you don't know, we've already received a demo permit. We just received that. So they are planning on starting demolition to make room for the new construction next week. Demo was approved prior to. So I'm only saying that because if there's any way we can expedite this, I know that would help the process along. And I don't know if there's any way that we could get final today, that would be great.
Sorry guys. I really don't have a whole lot of problem. I did see a detail of artificial turf in there, and I would really prefer that they try to find a natural solution rather than artificial turf.
Is that intended for everywhere that we see lawn here, or is that in a specific space? You know?
Tom, can you speak to that?
I can. I was just going to mention that. It is for one specific area. It's on the southern side. If you, in this diagram here, there's a small kind of more blue-green tone just due south of the center of the stadium, kind of in an regular shape. That's intended to be a player warm-up area for tennis players. It's an area for them to run and do stretches and things like that. But the remainder of any of the turf or lawn around the stadium will be, under my understanding, is natural turf.
If you can, if it has a very specific purpose, such as that, you know, I can, I guess, be more accepting of it. But I'd like you at least to study, you know, if there's anything that we get done rather than artificial turf.
That's what Lee's saying. It is specifically for that player workout area. That's the only place where it's located.
I understand that, but I think my comment still stands. But other than that, I'm fine.
All right, he said we can do that.
Can I make a suggestion? Andy and Aaron, what would you think about an alternative material such as, you know, what you see in playgrounds with recycled rubber?
I guess I could be fine with that. I mean, it just, yeah, I just feel like we really do strive to present a natural landscape, and yeah, I don't want to hold this up over this one little issue. I think it's actually relatively minor, but I would just like them to study it, you know.
And I'm okay with it, as so long as it's truly, you know, limited to the area where we're talking about, which it sounds like it is. I think that's fine. I certainly don't want to wholeheartedly endorse its use for everywhere, but I think, you know, in a limited, confined area with a specific purpose, I'm okay with it, especially if it's not, you know, right along the street and kind of the front facing lawn of the venue, which it isn't. So.
Okay. So Jeff, did you want to complete your?
I would love to complete the motion. I'd like to make a motion for preliminary approval with staff comments and board comment. Will show it to me. And board comment to awesome. Board comment to study the use of an alternate material for the turf grass. Let me see it.
Alternate.
Thank you.
Okay, so we have for the 161 7 Farms Drive, preliminary approval with staff comments with the study of an alternative to the artificial turf area. Do we have a second?
And this is Dinos. I'd be delighted to second Daddy's motion.
Perfect. And I will go through the other board members. Aaron Stevens.
Yes, in favor.
Andy Smith.
Yes, in favor.
And I am yes in favor as well.
Right, thank you,
and that
David.
concludes.
Thank you, Lee.
Thank you all. Sorry for the
Thank you, David.
technical difficulties.
Oh, we'll work that out next time. Thank you so much.
That was good. That was entertaining. Thank you, David.
Thanks, Jeff. See ya.
Okay, I'm letting Eric Garris into the meeting.